So Disneyland raised their prices on annual passes. What do I have to say about it? Now, before I get started, since apparently I make it so terrible to understand in my videos and I don't use just the plainest English that I possibly can, or no one wants to watch more than 1 minute and 35 seconds of my video, which is probably what it is, I am not necessarily happy with the price increase on the annual passes, but I am not mad at them. I'm not disappointed at them. So that's the bare bones of it. If you want to understand more, please continue through the video because there's a lot more information there's a lot more to my opinion than just that. So now that we've got that out of the way, I think that before we start talking about this year's, or today I guess, is annual increase, annual pass holder increase, we need to look at the first increase, or the first major increase at least. And that was by Michael Eisner in 1984. Now in 1984, Disneyland wasn't doing the best. Of course, it wasn't necessarily failing, but they're a business and they need to make money. So Eisner wanted to charge just as much as it was to get into a Broadway play, which was $50. And I believe that he charged like $56, which at that time was equivalent to $120 today. So that's, you know, quite a bit. And that's for an everyday ticket. That's not just for an annual pass. Now, we need to take a look at the annual pass and what it means and what it means to a lot of people. For the majority of the people who have annual passes, they live in Southern California and they go on a regular basis. And they get their money's worth and then some. So basically, they're getting to get into the park for free after they've paid, you know, a few $100s. And they go for a few times and then boom, it pays off itself. Now, we also need to examine what Walt wanted for the park because, you know, that's a very essential piece when we're talking about changes to Disneyland and changes to the Disney franchise in and of itself. And Walt wanted Disneyland to be a place where anyone could go, no matter what their economic or social class was, anyone could go there and anyone can afford it. Now today you may hear that and think, well, that's pure lunacy, but I mean, $100 to get into Disneyland for a day, and you know, the price does increase per day that you stay there if you get like a 3-day pass, but it's still, you know, it's hard for me to explain, or I guess put into words. It's almost like if you buy 2, you get one half off deal. If you pay for 3 days, you get a little bit, you have to pay a little bit less per day is I guess the best way of putting it. And so for the families who can't necessarily afford much, they may just get a 1-day pass, which is $100 into Disneyland, and they may just go stay at like a Best Western or something that's in the area, which there's nothing wrong with that. They may, you know, try to conserve a little bit on food, not really buy too many souvenirs, and that's fine. But it's still to the point where the majority of people could afford to go. Maybe not stay in the laps of luxury, but they could still probably go and afford it. Now, with this price increase, I heard rumors of it, and I was really worried that they were going to raise the price on the everyday ticket from $100 to $150. Now, for me personally, that's a massive hit because I am going to Disneyland next week in less than like 7 days. I think it's like 5 days now. By the way, subscribe for some Disneyland videos coming up within the next week. And not only that, but that would mean that my family would have to limit the amount of times that we go to Disneyland because we would have to save more. But I was very, very happy to see that the annual passes got raised instead of just the everyday pass. Because raising the everyday pass not only would diminish Walt's idea that anyone should be able to get into the park, but it would also just be a massive hit to the everyday, the visitor who just wants to go maybe once a year or maybe go just once in their life to see what it is. So I'm very, very happy that they didn't just raise the price on that. Now, raising the annual passes does have some issues in and of itself. They took away, I once again believe it's the deluxe, I don't remember, pass, and they made the premium pass, which I believe is a little bit over $1,000 now, and it still has no blackout dates. But on all the annual passes, I believe you get a photo pass for, I think, unlimited photos, you know, free parking, you know, there's a lot of other stuff that have been added onto it. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that it's worth the extra money, but for the majority of the people who get the annual passes, they aren't just going to go once or twice and then that's good enough. They're going to go, like Fresh Baked Disney, for example, once a week. They may go once a month, once every 2 months. Either way, they're still getting their monies back if they were to just pay for a one-day pass. If you go 10 times, you're going to be getting into the park for free. So you more than get your money back. So raising the price on the annual passes, I feel, is a very, very good and efficient way to not only get more revenue for Star Wars Land, which is the whole reason why they raised prices in the first place, but it's also a great way to make sure that it's not necessarily, I don't want to say abused, because I think that's the wrong word, but I think overused, it would be a correct term to use. And then it also ensures that the people who have been saving all this time to go to Disneyland for that one time, maybe the family who the father and the mother work 2 jobs and they bust their hump day in and day out in order to provide for their family, and they want to surprise their kids for Christmas that they're going to go to Disneyland next year. Now they can still do this, and they wouldn't have to continuously work more and more hours and continuously work day by day, and maybe wouldn't be able to afford it after all. So, you know, I am not necessarily happy that they raise prices. I don't really like when people raise prices on a lot of things, but once again, we need to remember that Disneyland is a business. And while it's not necessarily a right to go to Disneyland, it's not a right that's in the Constitution or something. It's a privilege that a lot of people like to do, and a lot of people want to do on a regular basis. It's like putting gas in your car. While it's not a right, and it's not necessarily a necessity, it is a privilege that a lot of people want and a lot of people want to use. So, once again, am I happy with the price increases? Not necessarily. Am I happy that they didn't decide to raise prices on the everyday passes? 100%. Am I disappointed that they decided to raise prices on the annual passes? Absolutely not. Because if you're going to pay the $800 initially for the original pass last year, the older pass that got you unlimited blackout dates, you were probably going to go more than enough times to get your money back. And, you know, if you pay the $1,000, you're still probably going to get your money back if you go like 10 times or so. You know, that's pretty much it, you guys. It's a very simple idea in my mind. It's still keeping Walt's dream alive that not only the privileged few get to go to Disneyland, and the privileged few who do get to go to Disneyland still have the opportunity to get an annual pass with some added perks on top of it. Yeah. So with that, you guys, like I said, subscribe for some more Disneyland videos coming up here very soon. I'm not going to be with some people that necessarily want me to film too much, but if I break away from the pack, or, you know, I may do a ride through here and there, I'll make sure to film it for you guys and make sure to get those up on YouTube as quick as possible. So subscribe for that. Share this video with an annual pass holder who's freaking out over the prices, so maybe they rethink it, and maybe they think, you know, maybe I shouldn't just be complaining about this so much, and maybe I should say, you know, it is what it is. Yeah, with that, you guys, thank you for watching, think for yourself, and I will see you next time.